Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Detroit Lions, and we're going to start it off with a really impressive defensive statistic. This is from Lions PR, and it's a look at the combined production of Lions rookies compared to the rest of the National Football League. They are first in sacks with 10. They are first in total pressures with 58. First in quarterback hurries with 38. Second in interceptions with 5. Second in tackles for loss at 13. Tied for second in fumble recoveries at 2, and then tied for third in forced fumbles at 2. So this, not only is this offense, which statistically speaking is the 5th best offense in the league, not only do they have a really good offense and promising offense as well, with Jameson Williams coming back in the last 2 weeks, catching his first pass and touchdown in just 12 snaps, but their defense is extremely promising. They are young, but they are very, very hungry, and it's really cool to see because Minnesota is a playoff team. They are a Super Bowl contender. Whether or not they're going to get there, that remains to be seen, but they have a really, really talented offense. Kirk Cousins is having a career year this year. Dalvin Cook is just a stud. Justin Jefferson is a top 3 wide receiver in the National Football League. And I know Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk, threw for 400 yards, which came as a huge surprise to me. But at the end of the day, the Lions still won the football game. They held them to under 25 points. And, the defense, it's coming alive. It really is coming alive. And what makes it tough is there are just a couple of games going a little bit differently from possibly making the playoffs, which they currently have a 20% chance, to probably making the playoffs. Because the NFC is wide open, especially the wild card. I'm not sold on the Eagles. I'm not sold on any of these teams in the NFC specifically. Before we get any further in this video, if you guys enjoy, hit the like button, hit that sub button. I post a bunch of Lions content every week, but in general, I post a couple of NFL videos every single day. Lions fans, if we could get this video to 500 likes, that would be absolutely awesome. You guys have been blessing this channel. It's very cool to see, and you guys are treating me like one of your own, so I really appreciate you guys. And, like I said, whether or not it's this year, whether it's if they do in fact win out, we'll talk about that later on in the video. If they do win out and they do make the wild card, anything can happen, technically, possibly. But next year, as a cheesehead, a guy wearing a Bears hat, as a cheesehead, it is absolutely terrifying because I think our time, as far as being the top dogs, has completely come to an end. And Detroit is building something very, very special. Very, very special. So when we take a look at this Lions team right now, they're on an absolute heater. They've won 5 of their last 6 football games, including my Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, the New York Giants, who are a quote-unquote playoff time. I don't really believe in the Giants, but at the time they were a lot better than they are right now. Brutal loss to Buffalo on Thanksgiving. Jacksonville, complete domination, complete obliteration. It was magic, actually. They broke records, and it was 4 straight quarters of good quality football, which we saw last week or a couple of days ago against Minnesota as well. But it was the first time in the season, and they put up 40 on them. The defense did a phenomenal job, and everything kind of started to click, right? They followed it up with a phenomenal win against Minnesota, and you're scoring 27 points a game. Defensively, they currently rank 31st, but that is mainly due to, a couple 40-piece with barbecue sauce and ranch earlier on in the season. This team is so fun to watch. Now, playoff chance-wise, they actually have a 20% chance. I thought it would be a little bit higher because, like I said, Seattle, they're trending a little downhill right now, not being able to close out these football games. Turnovers are costing them. You have the Giants. They have a really hard schedule. They have a top 3 hardest remaining schedule headed into this past weekend. They still have to play the Eagles again. It's just not going to be any easier for the Giants. So, we'll see what happens. I still view the Lions as the same. If they were to win out, you're going to be in the playoffs. If you finish season 10-7, you're going to be in the playoffs. And for a team that started 1-6, it's mesmerizing. Now, regardless of what happens, they have the Jets, they have Carolina. Those are 2 really, really good defenses with struggling offenses. Carolina's been able to figure some stuff out the last 2 weeks. To me, I kind of, I don't know. I felt like the writing was on the wall. They should have beat Minnesota when they played them the first time this season, but I think those last two games, or the next two games, are going to be big indicators as well. Like, Jared Goff has pretty much silenced, should we draft a rookie quarterback or a rookie quarterback in the first round next year? I think he's pretty much kiboshed those. This Lions team's ready to win now. It's not like they're, still in a full-fledged rebuild. They've been building up the pieces the last couple of seasons. They're coming off a phenomenal draft. Like I said, we saw Jameson Williams return in that Jacksonville game where he only saw 8 snaps. We saw him get his first reception. Absolutely blew by the safety. The safety had no idea what was going on. And he actually got targeted another time, but he only played 12 snaps, so we're going to continue to see that ramp up. But you have a great two-headed monster in DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. You have one of the best young wide receivers in the entire league in Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, I really like, actually, the other threats they have at the receiver position. If we go back to that Vikings game, Goff threw for 3 touchdowns, 330 yards for a rating of 120.7. But DJ Chark, I wouldn't mind if DJ Chark comes back next year when he's healthy. He's an absolute animal. We'll talk about him a little later on. But you got Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond. They have plenty at wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a more lower key, maybe more healthy veteran, important splash in free agency or in the trade market or what have you. But this is it's really interesting what Brad Holmes has been able to do. And like I said, defensively, all those stats really pop out. But Kirby Joseph has done a phenomenal job. You have guys like Aiden Hutchinson. It's just a really talented young group. So Malcolm Rodriguez also having a phenomenal season. The stats just don't do this team justice. I think we all kind of know that. But I'm really intrigued what happens for the remainder of the season, because when I look at the NFC, you have Philadelphia. I got to give credit where credit is due. You have Philadelphia up there. I really think that, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, but I really think Detroit, regardless of the record, regardless of how the rest of the season goes, they're one of the most difficult teams to beat in football right now. They are really difficult to beat. I know Kirk threw for a lot of yards, but they only gave up 23 points. A lot of those yards were at the end of the game. I like the discipline, the resiliency that I've seen from the Lions. Usually what happens when a team starts 1-6 is, maybe the locker room gets a little lost, or guys start, if they're injured, they get shut down for the rest of the year, whatever the case may be. Usually 1-6 teams don't change the season around from being 6-7 and having your playoff chances just increase week by week. But if Detroit were to get into the playoffs, I don't care who they're playing, that is not a football team you want to play. That is not a football team you want to play. When I look across the league in general, as far as young squads go, this is definitely, to me, the most promising young squad in the entire league, all 32 teams. So this really is just the start. Lions fans have been preaching this all season now. And like I said, it sucks because at the start of the season, they're just a couple of games, a couple of decisions, a couple of play calling decisions away from being in a completely different situation right now, which is tough, but there's still a chance. And until that chance is gone, you got to believe, and there's good reason to believe. So that's it for today. If you guys enjoyed it, you want more Lions content, show some love down below. I asked this question last week after the Jacksonville victory, where I had the Lions percent of making the playoffs at 20%. Now statistically it's 20%. I'm going to say their chance of making the playoffs, to me, are probably more around 30 to 35. But let me know what you think down below. I'll see you guys later.